Marge, you know I love you. And tonight, we are going to talk. I was made for loving you. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Fellow Kiss fans, welcome to It's All For You Demons, celebrating the fun of being a Kiss fan. And tonight, celebrating both the good and the bad. The good and the bad in collecting. I think throughout our years of being Kiss fans, we all have items that we like, and then other items we don't care for as much. That could be a studio track versus a live track, or a studio track versus a remix. Tonight, I have found a single that I really love and a remix that takes some getting used to, and that is what we are going to talk about tonight. It is the I Was Made for Lovin' You disco single from 1979 and its counterpart from 1988 that is pretty strange. This is kind of crazy, but this is the fun of being a Kiss fan. Now, when I got into the band and had smashes, thrashes, and hits on CD, Danny kind of explained to me the importance of all the songs because he grew up with them in the 70s, and smashes served as my cliff notes into the band. He had Dynasty, and his sister would play I Was Made for Lovin' You all the time. He explained to me that it was a big, like, roller rink hit, which I can totally see. And then when Danny bought me Dynasty on CD for Christmas, I Was Made for Lovin' You was a go-to track for me. It's the first track on the album, has a pumping disco beat that I'm always kind of akin to anyway, and it just became one of my favorite songs. And I do remember, I don't know why this sticks out in my head, I do remember that before I even drove to school, Brett was driving me to Central one morning, and KKJO, which was known as KJO at the time, played I Was Made for Lovin' You in the morning. And it felt right. It felt like all the planets were aligning. Brett and I were tiptoeing down this road of Kiss fandom. Danny was already in it, had re-merged back into it. In the era of Paula Abdul, the radio, our local radio station, is playing a Kiss song. And this was probably 1989. But it felt good. It felt right. It felt like the planets were aligned, and little did I know how much I Was Made for Lovin' You would follow me throughout my adult life. And that started with this. This was probably my first foreign pressing ever. This is the France I Was Made for Lovin' You Hard Times on the B-side, and I remember just buying it because it said Disco Rock in the corner. I thought that was the coolest, and I also kind of liked that it was using 78 photos on a 79 record. Plus, you gotta just love that light flare of that reflective background. That's so Price is Right.
A fabulous jukebox. The gold magic jukebox. The music starts, the action begins with sparkling infinity lights all from Roll, one of the world's largest manufacturers of jukeboxes.
Of course, the normal 1979 Casablanca 45 that probably every teenage girl in the world bought in 1979. Everything really shifted for me when I got the large 33 size I Was Made for Lovin' You single. Disco remix by New York DJ Jim Burgess. Jim Burgess did a remix of I Was Made for Lovin' You, as well as Dirty Livin'. Now, I do wish the entire Dynasty album was remixed by Jim Burgess. I think that would be extremely fun. And on a side note, a little fun note, Jim Burgess also did a remix of the Doobie Brothers' What a Fool Believes, and it is beautiful and delicious. And I really fell in love with this disco mix. There are additional bits, fade-ins, extra special effects sounds, of course an extra disco beat. Paul says listen. And this was the beginning of my fascination with I Was Made for Lovin' You. And to make my heart even sing more, my buddy Daniel from Australia sent me this Astor Records copy of I Was Made for Lovin' You, and it's the same disco mix, and it is 100% roller rink Kiss fun. And lastly, on the history of myself loving I Was Made for Lovin' You, tiptoeing down the foreign pressing rabbit hole, I fell in love with the Nasi para Amarte I Was Made for Lovin' You Mexican pressings, and that led us into what we're going to talk about tonight. A whole world of fun I Was Made for Lovin' You singles, and not so fun, bizarre I Was Made for Lovin' You singles. And we begin with this, the Mexican pressing of Nasi para Amarte I Was Made for Lovin' You 33 single yellow colored vinyl. And I love the disco, Casablanca disco colored vinyl sleeves with those holes so you can see what color the vinyl is. That is so much fun. And here's the yellow vinyl in all its glory. I do believe these singles came in yellow, orange, clear, red, and green. B-side Charisma. And here's the green version. And I do not believe this was the actual sleeve that this record came in. Obviously, probably originally came in a Casablanca sleeve. This is a Polydor disco sleeve, but you can't beat how much fun that is. That disco ball and those little cutout ovals to show you the color of the vinyl. This is the green version. This one's a little rough for wear, but I still love it. It's the green vinyl goes perfect with that yellow. And of course, this is the disco remix as well. Now, I do want to say this is an edited version compared to the Australian and US 33 singles. This is a slightly shorter version, but it is the disco mix by Jim Burgess. And it's interesting to note, he's not credited on the US, Australian, or Mexican pressings of these disco singles. He is credited, however, on the Dirty Living Mexican press. Here's that Mexican press of Dirty Living remixed by Jim Burgess, and not noted on the Mexican press of I Was Made for Lovin' You. And I read that he was given a Kiss pinball machine by Kiss for his work on these remixes, and a friend of his was actually at his house the day the Kiss pinball machine was delivered. So that's pretty cool, a little bit of history there. The beauty of being a Kiss fan is nobody knows everything, and we all learn something new or notice something new every day. The other day, I was on Kiss Army Warehouse, and they had this single for sale. It said, Latonzi, cover of I Was Made for Lovin' You. I had never even heard of this before, so I went to YouTube, looked it up, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, but I wanted to buy it. Collecting Dynasty 2023, the year of Dynasty, why not add another version of I Was Made for Lovin' You to the mix? It's kind of good because it is I Was Made for Lovin' You, and I Was Made for Lovin' You is a good song regardless of what you feel about the Dynasty album. That is a well-crafted song, but this version is pretty bad. So if you want a pretty bad version of I Was Made for Lovin' You, hunt out the Latonzi I Was Made for Lovin' You 33 single. It's got the radio mix, it's got a Tommy Nappy club mix, and the B-side has an extended mix. Before we leave tonight, let's do a little poltergeist and maybe play a tidbit of this Latonzi version so you can enjoy how horribly bad and fun this version of I Was Made for Lovin' You is.
Tell her to go to the light. No!
Nasi para Amarte. Yellow?
Don't follow her. They've been following her for weeks.
Nasi para Amarte. Green. And a little Latonzi to end your night.
Believe it or not.
Thank you for hanging with us tonight and waxing a little rock and roll nostalgia here in the Wax Night basement as we talked the colorful, fun, and horrible mixes of I Was Made for Lovin' You. Be good to your babies, spay, neuter, microchip. Take care, be safe. We will talk to you